Andrew, we appreciate your time. You're a school principal living and working in India. Tell us a bit about your experience with the pandemic there. How has it impacted your school, your life so far?
It's been very difficult for the students and the teachers for the last 13, 14 months. We've been 90% off campus virtual learning, so that's a different mode of living through a screen every day, and that's got its challenges. So we've borne up well with that. But now that the numbers are increasing locally, more people are vulnerable and more people are being tested positive, and hospital spaces are decreasing, and you've got the media that's covering it worldwide. It's a bit of a disaster, really.
And I understand you're in the high risk category with asthma. You've got a couple of kids and a wife there too. What's your plan? What are you going to do? Are you going to try and get out? When are you going to make that happen?
We have 4 weeks of school left for our school year. We finish in Northern Hemisphere late May, early June. We've got residency in Sri Lanka, so neighbouring country across the water. Hopefully they are still taking visitors. They are at present from India, so that's where we're intending to go for the summer, and then fingers crossed for our community here that things get better and we can return in August for a new school year.
Because it sounds like the situation there is deteriorating to just heartbreaking levels. There must be some pretty sad stories around with so many people impacted and so many people just struggling to get the health care that they clearly desperately need.
Yeah, I think it varies from city to city, but I've got colleagues and friends who've had family who've suffered both COVID symptoms and then trying to find a bed and hospital support. So even in Hyderabad, which is India light in terms of numbers, is starting to deteriorate. We're fortunate, my wife and I, we managed to get our second vaccine yesterday. We went to 2 hospitals to do that. The first one was jam-packed and was not worth pursuing it there just because it was quite scary, really. The second one, we were fortunate to have the vaccine, but that was a crowded hospital as well, a private hospital, and on leaving, there were people suffering outside the hospital waiting to get support, health support.
So when you say that it was quite scary at that first hospital, what was the scene that you saw there?
Well, it's down a narrow corridor, quite dim and dingy, with I'd say between 50 and 100 people queuing up to get through closed doors with guards there to get their vaccine, either first or second. So it was a small part of the hospital, but it was a big queue. It was quite noisy, fairly aggressive attempts to try and get into where the vaccines were being given. We could see through the glass windows in there, and there was a high density crowd inside as well. So we made the choice to not stick around for that, look for an alternative.
No doubt you've been following the policy positions of the Australian government pretty closely as well. As you know, flights have been cancelled for the next few weeks. What do you make of the response you've seen so far from Australia? Do you have hopes of getting back here? And what sort of communication has there been from the embassy to Australian citizens?
I think that the citizens groups that have been set up through social media outlets have been more supportive than the government. Kudos to the high consulates that have been supporting the flights out that have been either government supported or private support. I think they've done a fairly good job given the circumstances. As a family, we've kind of come to terms that Australia is just out of the question for the next couple of months for us. It's radically difficult to get flights as a group of 4. It seems to be once you get there, in a quarantine situation that's really highly costly. And then the question is, what will we do after that? I was asked the other day, what would we do in Australia? And I said, well, we'd have to start looking for jobs and schools in a COVID situation. So that's not an easy transition to make. So for us, it's just pragmatic to stay where we are for a year and to hope that India settles down. We're very fortunate. We live on an agricultural institute, so we're quite safe and secure in terms of the health situation compared to the high-density cities, I suppose. I'd like to have a holiday in the meantime, and Australia would have been a terrific place to see family again, but just the world's not allowing it at the moment, regrettably.
Andrew Nicholson, best of luck with it all. It's obviously pretty challenging times over there, and our hearts go out to you and your family and everyone else having to deal with the crisis there in India. We hope that you can get some relief from it soon. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.